These things are sent to try us. This is my second attempt, so let's see how the stream goes. YouTube has been absolutely awful the last couple of days, so we're going to see how we go. Let's see how we progress through the show. Let's see what happens. So I'm JB. This is the United Devil channel, and I hope you're all doing extremely well. This Thursday, this week has gone extremely fast. We're nearly at the weekend, nearly to the early kickoff. There's an early kickoff, 12:30 against Spurs. We are away to Spurs. Give me your opinions and let me know what you think about the game and what you think is going to happen. So hopefully the stream becomes better and stays okay. I want to know about your opinions. Get in your team opinions. We're going to go over Forest, why they could financially have an issue and be forced to sell Anderson. I've got all the stats and figures here. Danny B says, morning JB. Good morning, Danny B. Hope you're doing extremely well, my friend. If this is your first time here, get into the chat. I always say this: be respectful to the community. Number one rule: be respectful to the moderators, be respectful to yourselves, and be respectful to me. Otherwise, the ban hammer does come down, and you get banned. It's not something that we like to do, but guess what? You will be banned. Also, I'm not a dictator of this chat. The reason why these shows take so long is because I absolutely do read out your chats. Let me try and move this a little bit. I absolutely do read out your chats. This is why the show takes long. This is why I'm so lucky we've built this amazing community together, and we're going to get it bigger and bigger and bigger. So look, we have rival fans in here. Give me your opinions as to our club. I'll give you my opinions on yours, and if I come back on your opinion, doesn't mean to say that my opinion is right. It's just a different way and different view of looking at things. So feel free to get in there with your opinions. Today we're going to go over, basically going to look at Forest, why Anderson. Now getting your opinions on this player. Rúben Amorim seems to really love this player. You know, I think somebody said he's basically obsessed with this player. We can discuss maybe why you think he's obsessed with this player. We can also, again, Šeško's been slammed again today, and I want to go over that by a certain Mr. Deeney. Just absolutely unreal. And then basically, can Barcelona afford Mr. Rashford? And then we'll go and talk about that. So guys, get in your opinions about those subjects today. Anything you've seen overnight, any transfer rumours that you might have heard, feel free to bring it into this show. This is your show as much as it is mine, and we can start to basically discuss anything that you like. Bobby says, hello JB, hello my friend, hope you're doing extremely well. Bobby, legend of the chat as well. YouTube is playing up. It's been playing up now for days. I don't know what is going on with it, but it is what it is. So let's get through this. So Forest, Nottingham Forest. Now why, and I'll go through the stats now, why Anderson? So there have been reports over the last couple of days. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is we will go over what Laurie Whitwell has been saying again about this club and signing, so we'll go over that as well. And as to S7 says, morning mate, I hope you're well. I am extremely well, my friend. I hope you are as well. It is a Thursday, not too far away now. Spurs game is on the horizon. I want to know your opinions on that game. What do you think we could do? What do you think basically the team's going to be? Do you think he's going to play the same team? And we'll go over all that good stuff. So I'm going to go over Anderson now. There's been a couple of reports over the last couple of days, and we've reported on it as well on here, and we've gone through all that stuff. Yes, JB, what I missed? Nothing yet, my friend. Just doing the intro, just going through it. Not missed anything at all just yet, my friend. So look, we're going to be talking about Forest today, as to basically why they could be forced into selling this player. Rashford, why Barcelona probably can't afford him. Troy Deeney has been talking crap again. Sir Jackie says thanks for the trainers. I love it. And basically, Laurie Whitwell has been talking about stuff again, and getting all that good stuff. So look, Forest, let's start off with. So over the last couple of days, there's been reports that that United are very, very confident in being able to get this player. Now, Anderson is a player that I would like. If there's an opportunity to get him, then I would absolutely go and get this player. Now, some of you I know do like this player. Some of you, maybe prefer other players. Don't think the price tag is worth it. Now, there were price tags floating around 120 million, 80, 60, blah, 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 blah. United, at the moment, they're saying that they're confident that they can get this deal done in and around the £60 million mark. I think it's going to be closer to £70 million mark. Now, the confidence has been granted. If you follow the breadcrumbs, you follow the trails, if you follow all different sorts of people, you've got one person saying, that United will only look to do loan deals. You've got Romano confirming or basically saying that United don't want to do short deals, they just want to do long deals. Everything is kicking up and spinning again. But if we go through it today and we look at on the basis that United have been putting it out there and aggregators have been putting it out there, that we're confident that we can get this deal done, and we're confident we're going to put in a bid. Now, doing some digging, because I just heard this, that Forest, and because I know a couple of seasons ago they did have some issues. So we'll go through it now. I wouldn't disrespect my I'm not going to get into that, my friend. So where are we? So let's go in the facts, and then you can then tell me what your opinion is on this. So the club was found to have breached the Premier League's profitability and sustainability rules, so PSR, for 2022 and 2023. It exceeded the applicable threshold, which was £61 million for them, by £34.5 million. Okay. As a result, they were docked 4 points in March 2024. Now, financially for 23-24, the club's gross debt increased from 82 million to 96, comprising of 84 million in other loans and 12 million bank in an overdraft. The club has taken out further loans, a reported 80 million loan with an asset manager, Apollo Management, in 2025. They're predicted to be in breach of the UEFA financial regulations, the football earnings rule and squad cost ratio rule for 2025. So I'll just go through that a little bit again, right? So 2023, they were exceeded the threshold of loss by £34.5 million. Since 2023, the club's gross debt has increased from about 82 million to 96, comprising of 84 million from other loans and 12 million as an overdraft. The club has taken out further loans and reported a further 80 million loan with a asset manager, Apollo, in 2025. Moreover, they're predicted to be in breach of the UEFA financial regulations, football earnings rule and squad cost as well for 2025. So what does all that mean? That basically means that they could be in a situation. So Marinakis, as we know, is a very, very fiery, flamboyant sort of person. And this doesn't look good. I suppose the 115 charges in City get away with it. Saddens me, just missing the walking stick and the flat cap. True. That is so true, Scott. Devil Boy. I love that show. Bobby, it's true. It's true. City still get away with it, right? They're kicking their 115 down the road as they always do. They kick that can continually. I think for now, as unfair as it is, I think I could probably also argue as well that we're talking about a club who are overstated by profit by £34.5 million. Our debt is over £1 billion. So when we're talking about debt, I think that not that we have to be careful, but I find clubs like these who are in breach for such low amounts, I find it JB looking more like granddad at this point with that cardigan, mate. It is freezing, mate. It is cold. I'm a southern softie, mate, and I'm loving the cardigan, mate. Oh, Del boy, don't be like that, Del boy. See, I love it. I love it. Who was it that got 50 million fine for breaching the rules? City or PSG? That's pennies to them. Exactly. It's not, mate. I'm a southern softie, mate. It is. I am cold, mate. I'm an old man, mate. You're a young man, Scott. You've got, you don't feel the cold the same as us old guys. Mate. It will come to you. It will come to you in time. But yeah, I'm not going to take it off because it's nice and warm. So Forest could be in breach. Now, what does that mean? What does that ultimately mean? So Forest, I'm Scottish, shorts and t-shirt weather every day. Look, I'm only, mate, I feel at times like I'm 62. I really, really do. So what does that mean? What does that mean? So these are the implications. Now, I don't revel in somebody else's pain, right? If somebody else is in breach of financial fair play, Martin Face says, hello, my friend. If somebody is in breach of financial fair play, as much as we can quote our own debt figures, we can absolutely go, okay, 9 years, mate. 9 years is 9 years, mate. Scott, in 9 years' time, I'm going to be 51. I mean, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. So I don't revel in someone else's FFP, right? It is, we people, OAP, JB. Exactly, mate. I was born, here you go, look. I was born an old man. I'm going to flash the badge anyway. I'm just going to flash the badge. Šeško needs time to adapt again, and we'll get on to that. Deeney, some of the stuff that he says. Deeney is a fucking idiot. Deeney is a prat. I'm going to say that now. Troy Deeney is an idiot. You give people a platform, and they choose to abuse players. This is what happens when you give. People put football players on a pedestal. Exactly, Bobby. People put players up on a mantle, and because they played, they get millions of followers. They have this platform to do good, and what do they do with it? They go and slate players. So I've got no time. So what are the implications and risks for Forest? So Forest, a deduction of points, regulatory consequences for overspending. So this isn't just a potential issue. The club has already been sanctioned. The rise in debt and reliance on loan means the club financial flexibility is reduced, especially if performance dips. So relegation. The consultancy view is if the club goes down, servicing large debt becomes harder and harder. Now, as we know, Forest are in potentially going down this season. So Jack says, if it's Talk Sport, the only decent guy in there is Simon Jordan. Simon Jordan, look, he does speak a lot of sense. Whether or not, I think sometimes he pontificates a bit too much. But again, I think what people don't like about him is because he does speak the truth. I just think people don't enjoy that. I think when you get somebody like him, whose vocabulary is very, very good, Davey does arts and crafts in the local community centre on a Thursday afternoon. Look, mate, I've got to help. I've got to help the aged. It just makes them feel nice and comfortable. Makes them feel safe. I'm a dab hand with a needle and thread. He ran out of football clubs, so his advice is good advice, in my opinion, rather than the player's perspective. That may help you. Scott's on a roll. Troy Deeney, yeah, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of his at all. So I think we keep an eye on this. It is a good day today. I've got the cardigan on, so it's a fantastic day. So when we are looking at players, and we're as we always do on here, we look at the logical sense and we follow the breadcrumbs. Grace, legend of the chat, Grace says, how would you feel if we sold some of our academy players and probably won't make the first team, like Gore, Wheatley, Fredrickson, Ethan Williams, Hugo? Who is winning, Bayern or Arsenal? I think Bayern might win it. Most ex-players just chat S about, move for 2. I love it. The thing is, Grace, is that if we do sell these players, I mean, the problem that we got, Grace, and I think every club has this issue. Any young player, in my opinion, with an ounce of ambition, are not going to want to stick around, right? I think if you've got a bit about you, any good player, any good youth player should be able to get into this side. These standards are not that high. They're just not that high. Now, yes, you can argue about opportunities, and there is favouritism, I believe, with certain Portuguese players. I'm not going to go in on these players today, but I do believe that there is certain favouritism with certain players. But if you are good enough, I think you force your way into this team. But also, maybe we just have to accept like a Fredrickson, a Gore, a Wheatley. As much as I want to bring all these players into the team, maybe as a team we're not ready for them. It's a case of, maybe as a team we're not ready as a team to be able to bed these players in. These players could be fantastic. We just may not know. It could be a situation where these players are not great. But if we look back historically, Grace, and you go back, other than the class of 92, we don't traditionally bring in 4, 5, 6 players into the first team. We don't traditionally do that. We may bring in 1, 2, 3, 4. We may bed them in, but then they may not. They may play 1, 2, 3, 4 games. But it's very rarely that we bring in 4, 5, 6, 7 players every single season who come into the squad. They may get on the bench. They may get a bench game. But some of these players may be good enough, maybe not. It could be that we're not, as a team, mature enough or experienced enough to be able to bring in these players. And also, if we don't start winning, we're not going to have the games. We're not going to have the games to bring in these young players. So look, I would love a team full of academy products, right? I'd love it. Imagine if you could create your own world-class players, bring them in. Do I think we bring enough of those through? Probably not. I think it's a failure, but add that to the rest of the failures that we're doing right now. We've been a toxic club for a long time. I want to see these young lads come through. There's a lad called Bianchi that I saw against Spurs. Brilliant. He looks great. But are we going to be able to give him that time? I just don't know. I do agree with you. Just need to sit there with a cup of look at that. Oh, Scott, did you not see the goal that young boy scored for the youth? He ran 70 yards, scored a belter. Leon, are you referring to Leon? Because he basically ran through and scored a fantastic goal. We need to give more academy players some chances. I think that's left Carreras in the academy, and now he starts for Madrid. AI, stop now. I'm just joking. I'll stop now. I don't expect every young player to come through. I smell British accent in there. Yes, you do, my friend. You do. You absolutely do. There's not enough space in the team to bring through 4 or 5 players. And Grace, and that's the point. Look, I'm probably I'm being. You missed one of my. Oh bloody hell, Scott. All right, hold up. Jesus. A few more. The reason why you wanted me to read that is basically, Scott, is because you think you're funny. A few more years and you'll be a coffin dodger. Thanks, mate. Thanks, pal. Thanks, mate. Thank you. You look great. You know, I am being not facetious, but I am. You know, I get it. There physically isn't enough space to bring those players through, right? But you're asking me like how I feel, and how I feel on it is, I wish that we could bring more youth players in. Grace says you're not replacing Bruno and Casemiro with 2 academy players. No, but why can't we? The reason why I say it is basically because we are so obsessed with our academy players. We love you, JB. Thanks, mate. This is why I say it is because people are so obsessed with academy players. Why aren't we bringing through, for example, you know, why aren't we bringing through an academy player to work alongside these players? You know, we've got Ugarte, you know, we're bringing in these players. But the bit for me, Grace, that I don't get is that we're all clamoring for these academy players. I'm not necessarily. And then we get people who want them to come through, but then they'll come through, or they're just not good enough to come through, or there's not enough space in the team for them, or they're not going to replace the senior players. Well, if these young kids are not going to come in and replace the senior players, or long-term going to replace the senior players, then why are we bringing them in? Like, that's the bit that I don't get. Like, if these youth players come onto the bench and we're looking to bring them into the first squad, why aren't we looking to do that? So Jackie Rooney wants to speak to you. Love you, JB. Šeško has flopped. Thank you, Nish fan. I love you too, my friend. So JJ looks good in and out under 18s. He's only 14 years old. He may come on. You never know. Niche fan legend. Šeško has flopped. We need to play Xerxes. We can come on to that as well. Do you not think we have enough youngsters in the team? Grace, we do. The problem we've got in our team is, I think the experienced players that we've got, ability-wise, are coming to the end. Ability-wise, are not the best. But we've got the, you know, when we're looking at our youth players, we've got, you know, Šeško. Is Šeško youth now? Probably not anymore. Menu youth now, you could probably argue. Dorgu, maybe youth, but then we've, you know, the problem is, I think the conversation of youth and bringing youth into this side, I think, is an irrelevant point, right? And I'm not saying your comment is irrelevant. I think it's an irrelevant point. We need to get a first team, an established first team first, before we can even talk about bringing in youth, and bringing in youth to a degree where they can settle into this side. I think we don't have enough of it. I don't think our blend is quite right, and I think that's where we are with it. He hasn't had I desperately want mainly to play. I was out with him for a few pints last night. Jackie, what's my hobbies and interests? So, because if Cass and Bruno go, we replace them with Coney and Jack Fletcher rather than sign Warner Anderson, would you be happy with that? No. Grace, is not a question of age. It's a question of ability. I think you're focusing, Grace, on age here. I do. I think you're focusing on age. And let's put ability and experience to the side, right? I've always thought this: if they are good enough, they are old enough to come into this team. Is there a failure? I don't know at what other academies are doing. Is it a failure of our academy right now of bringing these young players through? Kone, people bang on about Kone, right? I've not seen anything to suggest to me that he's going to be different. I would love to replace Grace. I would love to replace Casemiro and Fernandes with those two players. It would, imagine how much money we'd save. From a financial perspective, I would love to. From a historical perspective, I would love to. If they were good enough, and I thought they were, bring them in. I don't think they were. I think it's a failure on the youth, and I think it's a failure for us because we don't have the ability right now to give these players the game time that they need. So are you asking me, would I like to replace them with youth players? Yes, I would. But are we that club in a position right now to be able to do that? And my answer is no. So the reason why we have to sign a Wharton and an Anderson or a Steeler right now is because that's the club that we are. It's about experience, and we don't have that. So if you're asking me, would I love to bring in a whole team of players from the youth? Of course I would. Imagine if you had a conveyor belt of players. Imagine if you had a conveyor belt of players that could come through. It would be amazing. But we can't do that because of how badly we've been run. It's a gamble though. Do you get a youngster making better and leaves for a better team? Exactly. Michael Asher says if these lads aren't given a chance to have 10-15 minutes here and there, it suggests in charge don't rate him enough. So only options to buy. And Michael, and again, these are the great debating points about youth, is the fact that we don't know how good they are unless they play, because ultimately the difference between men's football and under 21s is night and day, right? They can't get game time unless they play, and they can't play unless they get the game time. So you don't know how good they're going to be. So the only way they get good is by giving them the game time, but they don't get given the game time, so they can't prove their worth. So, and Michael, you're absolutely right. You know, players leave clubs all of the time. I think we are right now. The problem that we've got, and I think you guys are right, is we don't have the games. We don't have the games. If we had a Carabao, imagine if, for example, next season, let's imagine we've got a better squad, a healthier squad for next season, and we've got Carabao Cup games, we've got FA Cup games, we've got League, and we know we're going to be in and around third or fourth. European, right? Amorim or whoever's in charge can go, right, I know in this game against Wrexham, I can go and play the youth players, because I don't mind if we lose that game, or I'm confident that I can meld a team of young players and experience, and if we are behind, then I can bring on experienced players because I trust these players. Then that is how we drive this youth forward. But right now we don't even have a consistent first team that Amorim trusts, so we're not even able to do that. Someone says, do you still hate Shaw or Cass? Look. Someone at no point have I said I hate these players. At 0 point. I just want to make that clear. I'm not going to I'm not calling that opinion out. As I say, you guys put in your opinions. I value your opinions, but I do need to correct things sometimes. I've never once said that I hate these players. I dislike them. I don't hate Shaw, Casemiro. 100% do not hate these players. I dislike Luke Shaw, the defender. I know many people don't. He's done some good things. I dislike what the player brings, and I dislike the player. Casemiro, my stance on Casemiro has slightly changed on the basis that I think he does his best. I still think Casemiro is absolutely dreadful in an open pivot. He's got no pace. But as a destroyer, when he's sitting in front of that back three, I think he's good. And he is the best that we've got. Look, I'm not going to do the player bashing. I don't hate Shaw at all. I just don't think as a player he should be getting into this side. And I do think we've got better options. Look, whilst I agree that Casemiro has been one of the better players, I disagree that they are our best players. Luke Shaw, Casemiro are not two of our best players. They've been Casemiro's been one of our better players this season because he's the best of a bad bunch, and Luke Shaw is by nowhere near one of our best players this season. There's a rhetoric around Luke Shaw. I think there's this English bias around Luke Shaw. He's by no means our best player. P.S. Šeško is nowhere near ready. Needs to be benched for Mount or Xerxes to fit into that front three. I disagree. I'm not gonna call your opinion out because that's your view. Mason Mount for me again. I think Mason Mount. I like him, but Mason Mount is like a bit of a bee. And what I mean, a wasp. He flies around, looks really, really busy. Really, really busy, but I just don't see what Mason Mount does. And don't get me wrong, pressing, I think Mason Mount's best attribute is pressing. When his body holds up, Mason Mount, pressing a team, he's very, very good in that high press. I like him in that high press. I like him when he plays in that square, right? He's very, very good at when he gets the ball to feet. He's very, very good at that. Gets the ball to feet, passes it off, comfortable with the ball. I like him in that position. But he's unfit. He's always unfit, always going to get injured, and I can't rely on Mason Mount. I don't really like a false nine. Xerxes, I don't understand the fascination about him. I like him. I think he's a decent player. But this free Xerxes stuff, I'm not seeing it. He should be given his chance. I do think he should be given his chance. Do I think Šeško is ready? Šeško needs time. Šeško needs time. And I think the only way we give him time is to play him. I still want to play with a striker. I don't want to play with a Mason Mount, a Cunha, another number 10. I don't want to play that way. Is Xerxes ready? I don't think he is. Xerxes hasn't played enough. Should he be given his chance? Xerxes will be given his chance. He will be. But interesting points. Eindrick from Madrid is the best punt now, and he's tried and tested with Madrid. Not for me, Sir Jackie. Eindrick is not for me. Super Battle says United has got enough revenue streams and global recognition to buy 3 or 4 first team ready players every season. Youth is great, but we need players in the squad who are good enough for the Premier League. Super Battles, I don't disagree, but the problem is we do have enough revenue streams, but our revenue compared to our debt nearly wipes it out, mate. So Steve Elsie, good afternoon, my friend. I hate Shaw. He's been here over 10 years. Look, again, I respect people's opinions on players. I need to say this. I don't hate players. 100%. I don't hate players. I may dislike a player. Look, I have my opinions. My opinion isn't the law. I may frustrate you at times with my opinions. People frustrate me with their opinions, but that is the beauty. Arsenal and Pakistan cricket team fan. Hello, my friend. Hope you're doing extremely well. JB, why have your nursing home just called me and said you need to go back? Oh, come on. I mean, look, I'm allowed to be out on a Thursday to at least 1:30. So, you can tell them nurses for me that they can mind their own business. SM says, seeing how Cunha and Burma are doing well makes me think we should buy more Prem-proven players. That's what Sir Alex did. As soon as Martinez is fit, Shaw will be out. Casemiro still misses tackles and gets run through because of his lack of pace and agility. I'm with you. Absolutely agree with you. We all know which player. Grace, I don't hate any players. They may give me an eye twitch. I may dislike them, but I don't hate them. Dino Legend, like him in the high press, but we don't need a high press. Free Xerxes, free Delo, he needs to leave. Xerxes will get a chance when Ahmed and Burma goes to AFCON. I think he'll get a chance. I'm telling you, I think Xerxes will get a chance if you look at the fixtures that we got when we come back, we've got a game every 5 days. Xerxes will get his chance. As Sesko don't get time, he's given 160 a week. He needs to step up. Chip places, hi JB, hope you're doing extremely well. How much they want for Anderson, we'll come on to that as well. I will get through that as well. How we left Alvaro walk away, and Madrid being touted as one of the best left backs in the world. Steve, I'm with you, my friend. We got a nice sign-on clause. His style doesn't suit the Premier League anyway. He's technically perfect for La Liga. Absolutely joke the lad, barely got a chance. You can't blame the fraud Eric Ten Hag for that. Did someone say nursing home don't threaten me with a good time? So look, let's get back to this. So let's get back to the Forest financial issues. I'm still not over letting Alvaro and Garner. I didn't. Controversial take here, Garner for me. I don't think he set the world alight. I don't. I think he's an average player. I don't have fluffy slippers, but I do have sliders. So that's all I'm saying. So Forest, let's go back to the top, and then we're going to go through it, and then so once again, reports keep coming out that we are very, very confident that we can get this Anderson deal done. Okay. There are contrary reports to that, and we will come on to that as well. So initial reports are that we are confident that we can get him. Letting Elanga go was an error, not Garner. Basically, that Forest are in a situation now, and we'll go through it again, where they breached the Premier League rules, the PSR for 2022-23. They exceeded the threshold by 34.5 million. As a result of that breach, the club was docked 4 points in March 2025. 2023-24, the club's gross debt increased from 82 to 96, comprising of 84 million other loans and 12 million in bank. The club has since taken out a further reported 18 million loan and with Asset Apollo Management. Moreover, they're predicted to be in breach of UEFA football earnings rule and squad cost as well. So these implications are real. They're financially are stretched. Absolutely are stretched. Now, I think that we are looking to take advantage of this. Now, Marinakis, will he do this deal? I don't want to revel, as I was saying, I don't want to revel or necessarily profit from other people's FFP, PSR issues. And Marinakis is lauded as the master businessman, but Forest still get hit. Our only mistake has been signing Ugarte. Marinakis, look, I think he's a very emotional guy. No doubt, as a business person, I'm sure he's fine. But the fact that they are taking out loans, I think there is an opportunity here. When you look at the breadcrumbs, and as we always do, I think this is the reason why we are making moves, and I think we're trying to free up. JB looks like a grand wizard. Thank you. I think we're trying to. I do think we are trying to free up room in our squad, and I think we will go in for a bid. I think all the signs at the moment are pointing towards an Anderson bid. What that will be, there are originally a couple of weeks ago 120 million, recently 80 million. We're saying 60 million. I think we will try and do a deal for around 70 million, and there are already reports saying that we've already put in a bid. I don't believe that, but there are reports saying so. I think when we're looking at this, I think we do have to take into account of Forest's precarious financial issues. They are financially stretched. I can't remember how much he cost them. Was it 12.5 million, 20 million? A profit on that player would be absolutely ridiculous. Morgan Gibbs White situation was funny. Never seen the player on live TV get arms stretched to sign a contract and told to shut up, you're staying. Hilarious. I do think there is something in this. whether or not we can get it done, whether or not we will admit this, but I do think that we are looking to get this done. Side to that. So Laurie Whitwell on his podcast, and we did speak about this briefly yesterday, was basically saying that United are looking to do some business, but they need to move players out first. Read it, JB. I know you see it. JB can't. Okay, let's have a look. JB cast his spell. Hocus Pocus gives. Oh my good lord! I'm not reading that out. JB Hocus Pocus give me. Oh my good lord! He put a spell on you, and now you're mine. Honestly, ridiculous. You are children. Absolutely hilarious. I don't think we'll sign him because the likes of Liverpool and Chelsea are lurking. Now, whilst I agree, I do think that we can steal a march. Liverpool have spent an extraordinary amount of money. I don't know in terms of, look, Scott, so am I, my friend. I'm a massive child as well. I'm all for it, Scott. I'm all for it, my friend. Laurie Whitwell was basically now saying that we need to move players out and we will probably go for a loan move. I've been saying this all the way through that I think we go back in for a loan move for players. However, Fabrizio Romano then rebukes that and basically says that we will only be going in for long-term signings. So once again, this is where we've got lots of spin. We've got lots of different stuff, as we spoke about last night. He then goes on to say basically one of Mainu or Xerxes needs to go. So for us to get Elliot Anderson in, and this is irrespective. No, this is not irrespective. This is dependent on one of those two players moving on. So I think if we see an indicator, an indication will be if one of Mainu or Xerxes leave, I think that another comes in. Now, Xerxes, for me, why he would leave to make room, I think he's a number 10. I think he's a make-weight striker. I think he can be a striker. I would suspect it's either going to be one of Mainu. I would say it sounds like a Mainu or an Ugarte will go. Do you reckon we'll sell Rashford or will he be loaned back? Or I think we need to sell Rashford. I think Barcelona are trying to do we can't afford it. I will come on to that as well, but I think this is looking like they're trying to they're trying to do everything they can to get a cut price deal. They're basically saying that they can't afford his wages. They can't afford to pay him. They can't afford this. They can't afford that. Look, I think Rashford is going to go. I think Barcelona are going to basically try and do what they always do and try and look to get a cheap deal. Or they may loan him again and then they basically then may try to get him on free, because that's what at the moment that seems to be the Spanish club's take. Just sounds like he's saying a lot but nothing to say. Exactly, Dino. Exactly that. Again, what is happening to basically cut through the crap, and I can save you time on this one, is basically this. We're either going to do nothing. Romano basically says that we're only going to do long-term deals, right? Anderson, and I want you to put that there because I do think there's something in that. Romano is saying that we're not going to do any deals. We're not going to do short-term deals unless... No, he says we're not going to do short-term deals. We're only going to do long-term deals, right? For me, that means there's no value in the market. That's a different way to say it. That's a different way to spin it. Where when others are saying, actually, well, no, that's not true. We will go in for loans. I can only see loans because one of Mainu, Ugarte, and Xerxes will have to go to free up space. Luca says, "Is this the knockoff United stand?" Luca, my friend, if you don't like it, feel free to go. I'm sure you can go off onto that channel. We may not be the biggest, but we are the best. I'm glad I'm not Mark Goldbridge. I don't profess to be. I'm not him. I don't want to be Mark Goldbridge. He's his own person. But it's interesting. It's interesting that you would come on here. Look, Goldbridge can't carry that cardio off. Exactly. He couldn't. Look, he wishes he could look this good. I'm joking, by the way. I'm kidding, by the way. Look, Luca, my friend, you are welcome here. The one thing, Luca, that we do on here extremely well is that I read out your comments. There are super chats. There's all sorts of stuff on here, my friend. But I will read out your chats. You know, this is not that. This is something else. You know, we are a true community on here. I value your opinion. That's why I will read your chats. I've got an opinion. Doesn't mean that my opinion is the be all and the sort of end all. We don't do clickbait. You know, we are not them. Luca, thank you, my friend. Welcome and pleasure to have you aboard. So look, Luca, feel free to get into the chat. One thing I will say to you, Luca, is this is one of the best communities out there. Get into this chat. This community completely makes the channel. So get into. Dino says, Andy can take a joke and some. Oh, Scott, you are funny. Dino says, Hocus tickle. I can't. I just, guys, I just can't do it. Exactly. You all know the score on here. So we are at a situation where right now, as we all know, this has been established, is that the only people that know anything about this club are Ornstein and Fabrizio. Everything else is just a guesswork. Everything else is like us, right? On here, we were talking about Lemens. Šeško. I'm gonna go back to the summer. We were on here talking about Šeško, and we went with Šeško, and we were spot on. We were absolutely spot on that one. Lemens as well. We were pretty much on Lemens as well, and we got that one right as well. That's all. Anybody else, when it comes to the transfer deals, they're trying to put 2 and 2 together, and the only difference is that they're all concerned about being first. We're concerned on here about the truth. We're concerned on here about getting things right. We're concerned on here about Lord of the Rings. We're concerned about you shall not pass. I'm just concerned about me doing things like that. I am a wizard. I don't have a wizard sleeve, which is always good. Or a clown's pocket. I don't have any of those things. So look, that is where we're at. So I think where we are, JB is our midfield. You shall not pass. That's true. So where we are is, I would say, Michael, I said, I once told a mate, Manu reminded me of a young Seedorf. He said, I was mad, but I'd hate to see him be sold to Inter, etc., to prove me right. I can assure you, my friend, I am like a I'm just trying to think of something. I'm like something. I'm like a tight clam. Fabrizio does spaff a lot nowadays. I like clubs pay him to spread rumours and negotiations. It's true. Whether we like it or not, Fabrizio does get fed stuff. The thing is, S7, right, is that you can tell, right, Ornstein, right, Fabrizio, they get paid by the club, right? They get little bits and bobs. They are the mouthpieces of this club. So, you know, when it then comes time in S7, I think you're spot on. JB is as tight as our own mate. I am not that tight, mate. You know, they are ridiculously tight. I mean, I think there are black holes that will let things out more than them. Yeah. So what we are going to see, and it's already look, we've got 2 weeks, right? What I am going to warn you lot now, and I'm going to try not to do this. I'm not gonna look. Probably is a bit too far. Look, don't blame me, blame Scott, right? So what we are going to see for the next two weeks is we're going to basically see channels putting out clickbait after clickbait after clickbait. That's all we're going to see. I mean, I will come on as much as I possibly can and come on and report the truth. But it is oh, I can't do it. That is what you're going to see. Bigger channels putting out content 3 or 4 times a day. What are they going to put out there for the next 2 weeks, 3 or 4 times a day? So there is going to be so much misinformation over the next 2 weeks is going to be unreal. So I just think you need to be prepared for that. So I think where we are at, I think Anderson, I think there's some rumour, and do I think there is some truth in that? Yes, I do. I'm going to say watch the Manu thing, and I do agree. I do agree with Michael there. If Manu goes, I think Manu could be that. Do I think he'll be as good as Seedorf? I don't know, but I think watch the Manu thing. Ugarte and Manu. Do you think we'll do a title charge second half of the season if we get signings in Jan? Come on, Bobby. Mate. Look. I yesterday. I hope, Bono, you know my feelings on this. I think to talk about a title charge is premature. It's more premature than when Scott sees a granny. That's how to be premature. No, we can't, mate. I mean, I can't even envision what that would be like. Arsenal was so far ahead. For us to get into a title charge, we would need to win every game, better or match Arsenal, better or match City than what we're doing now to keep pace. We're not keeping pace. Yes, mathematically we are, but we could, by the time we get into Christmas, we could be 10, 12 points behind. So I don't think we are. Not, in my opinion, not with this squad. Not with this squad. Unless we make some signings, we don't do it with this squad. Manu is interesting because he does. Would you have to think we have to have a target to replace him? Get a left wing back and a CM. Top 8 is realistic. Eyes don't lie. We are nowhere near. I'm with Steve. I've been saying this the whole season, and I'm still going to stand by this. I think we finish somewhere between 8th and 10th. I think the only way we don't, and Scott's right, Amorim has said he doesn't need a left or a right wing back. I think I'm gonna die on this hill, right? Right now we finish between 8th and 10th, depending on who we get. If we don't get any players or a player in, I think we finish between 8th and 10th. So right now, I would say we finish anywhere between 8th and 10th, because I think we're so inconsistent. I think we're going to hit a bad patch. I think we're going to hit a really, really bad patch. Because if you think about the games that we've got, Christmas time could be horrific. Could be absolutely horrific for this team. We've not got injuries, really a lot of injuries, just the usual suspects, but we've been very, very fortunate in regards to that as well. So I worry. Bobby says it's got to be top 4. It's a nice thought. So look, let's get on to the Šeško stuff. Let's get on to Šeško and Troy Deeney. Oh my God. That's what happens. That's what happens when you give platforms to anybody with a voice, right? That's what happens when you give a platform to people who can have a voice. Yes, he's played the games. When you say stuff, you could, I could say, like, I could come on here and start jumping up and down and start, calling people's opinions out, and going, Scott, how could you say we're going to finish top 4? Oh, fucking hell. Oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're this and you're that. Oh, fucking hell. But, your opinion is as valid as anyone else's, right? They do it and they have a hot take because that's what they think. The reason why the reason now why a lot of and I could reel off names. Most of these people started off on the massive channels. The reason why it's some of these people get views is because they have extreme views, right? There's one guy, I'm not going to mention his name. Kelvin, how you doing, mate? I'm extremely well, and I hope you're doing extremely well as well. There's one particular kid. I know he goes to games. Quite a chunky lad. Basically, just goes mental. Whenever I've seen the odd clip, he basically just goes crazy. CR7 is a legend. Hello, my friend. He goes mad. And he says, "Oh, we lost. Oh, this manager needs to be sacked now. Oh my God, these players are awful. Oh, I can't stand it. Oh." Like, reactionary. And ultimately, that is what gets figures up, right? Now, Deeney and these Premier League players, yeah, I will do the presser today, Scott. Yes, I will do that. I think is that now? That's quite soon. I will watch the presser, and I will come back on for that as well in a bit. So Troy Deeney, this is what I wanted to sort of end with, really. So Deeney basically saying that Šeško is too weak, like a baby. He basically said that he pisses stronger than Šeško, and basically just saying that he's not the same wavelength as the rest of the players. He's weak like a baby. And apparently Deeney pisses stronger than him. I mean, what sort of critique is that? Deeney being a Premier League striker, not being one of the better league strikers, and an average striker at best. Instead of calling him out, why not give him some tips? Why not give him a call? Like, Šeško is like a young lad. Instead of these ex-Premier League players, are they not bound to want to see other strikers do well? It's not like Deeney's going to be scared that Šeško is going to be a superior player because Deeney wasn't a superior player. Šeško's already surpassed Deeney. So I don't really get why Deeney wouldn't want to support him. Deeney must know what it was like. I know Deeney has had a troubled past, and wouldn't he want to impart some of those lessons on a young striker? You know, I know you don't play the game anymore, but when you are out of some sort of pride, want to go and speak to these young strikers, you know, imagine, you know, as much as in my opinion, you know, look, you've got to be decent to play at the Premier League level. Wouldn't you want to go and speak to these younger strikers just to help them out? Like, imagine like how it would feel if you go to one of the biggest clubs, go and speak to Šeško and go, look, mate, let's have a conversation. You know, I've played in the Premier League, you know, from a physicality perspective, like, I can help you. Like, I can tell you to do X, Y, and Z. But no, he'd rather sit there and say that he pisses stronger. Oh, I piss stronger than him. Like, what does that do? Just an absolute waste of time. So, you know, again, the rhetoric is Šeško is now the latest player to be bombed. You know, if they can't attack one player, then they'll go and attack a different player. So Šeško this week is the player that's being attacked. Šeško this week is again being the one that's been called weak, is the one that's been lambasted again, is the one that's been called out again, because it suits the media. They've got to sell something, and for people like that, I think it's poor form. I think it's a disgrace that one Premier League striker can't go and help if he thinks he's a struggling player. As a Premier League player, is such a small percentage of players that make it. Why wouldn't you go and help? Instead of sitting there on your arse and calling out this young lad, why wouldn't you go and help him? Just fucking sums it up for me. Poor leadership is criticising without being insightful. Sums Deeney up. Deeney is darker than Tevez. City are on a march. Liverpool will get signings bedded in. Arsenal way ahead. Chelsea squad are way better than ours. Not to mention Villa top 4 big ask. I've been saying it all season. Just not as skilled. I mean, in looks, passing. A judgment on a young player, and when Troy did nothing as a player except get relegated, an example of someone who only got in the team because they couldn't afford a proper striker. You know, and again, it's easy. I'm sure we would be more respectful. You know, I would love to say, look, Deeney, for whatever his career that he had, he still respect. I'm not saying it now, but, you know, you could say respect to Deeney for earning a living out of the game, you know, did a lot with the little that he had and did some stuff, right? He did more than me, right? But then when you've got somebody like that who could impart a lot of guile and a lot of help to young players, he's more important than building his brand, building himself up by building. When you build your brand up on the back of others, on the back of you tearing down at other people, what does that say? Desmond McClinton says David Moyes is such an overrated manager. I don't know. I think overrated. Is he overrated? I've never rated him. I thought he was a good manager with what he did the first time round. When he's gone back to the Toffees now, and he's gone back, are you going? I'm not tonight, but I will be doing a live tonight. I will be in here doing a live tonight. I won't be out and about. You know, I'll just be here tonight. As normal, I'll be doing it from a car. Going to be a very interesting evening at Villa Park tonight. I think it will be. But yeah, so look, guys, I am going to go. I will be back shortly because the presser is now or quite soon. I will watch the press conference, and then I will be back very, very shortly to give you my opinion. Desmond says Moyes is look. He is. I think Moyes is one of those managers like an Allardyce. Like one of those old school guys who's been around a long, long time. Ultimately, I don't think that Moyes. I've never thought Moyes was that great, so I don't overrate him because I don't think he's that good. But I do take the point. I do take the point that people do think he's better than what he is. He got given the job, wasn't up to it. I've never thought he was good. So JB for the next one put a hoodie on. I am going to change. Because I am quite warm now, Scott. So I am going to change because I am quite warm. Players defo give up on Moyes, though. I think Rio even admitted he lost the dressing room. And I think to that point, one of the things I wanted to say on that, I'm going to put on a tuxedo. Moyes lost the dressing room. And I think the thing is, as well, is one of the things to consider why Moyes failed, right? Is imagine you've got a manager who's come into your team, right? A manager whose task it is to tell you how to win a European Cup and Premier League, right? When you've got players there who did it multiple times, how can David Moyes, the problem was, how could David Moyes walk into a team and tell a bunch of Premier League winners who just won a league, multiple Premier Leagues, some of them 2 European Cups, how to win a league when you've never won a league yourself? That was why he failed, was because he never had the aura. And how could you walk into that? And whether or not Vidic, Evra, Rio, Giggsy, all those players, Van Persie, were all still there. How can you, as a coach who've never won a Premier League, never won a European Cup, come in to a team full of multiple winners, Premier Leagues, and tell them how to do something you've never done? That is why he failed. Fergie put moves in place. I've often wondered, Steve. I often wondered, Steve, why Fergie got Moyes. I often wondered, was Fergie trying to protect legacy? I'd like to think not, but I think you do make guys, you do make good points. At the end, with hindsight, I think Fergie made the club listen too much to Fergie. But that's what happens when you don't have a football structure in place. Grace's question: if we got rid of all of our first team players and bench players tomorrow, which academy players would you trust to do a job and replace them? I think Grace, that's a question for tonight. I do have to go, but that is a question for tonight. Don't forget, Grace, if you're around tonight, bring that in and I will answer that question. Bring that question in tonight. Nails painted, black hairline, long black hair, and Vans on. Emo style, proper emo style. Moyes destroyed our ethos, went from flowing us to long ball, Fellaini elbows. He did. Moyes only got the job of Fergie. Spot on about Fergie, protection of legacy. What time tonight? So I will be back shortly. I'll probably be back in about an hour or so. The presser is on, so I will come back on and do that about that. So what time will I be on tonight? I'll try to get on for about 9:30, 10 o'clock, in a pale cardigan and a retro shirt with a new look. GTG, now catch you soon. Look, guys, amazing show. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Great show as always. Thank you for supporting, and I'll be back shortly. So I'm going to go watch the presser, and then I'll be back shortly. So you missed a lot. I will be back very, very shortly. I'll go and watch the presser, go and see what comes out of that. Back on, and yes, I'll see you guys shortly. So have a good rest of your morning, afternoon, evening. If you can't join me in a little bit, But I will be back. So guys, see you very, very soon, and take care.